Welcome back to another video on the channel. In this video I'm going to be talking about the next generation of the women's tour, looking at the players like Naomi Osaka, Bianca Andreescu and the most recent Grand Slam champion Sofia Kenin. I'm just going to talk through these sort of players' games and the achievements so far, and then look at a couple of players that I think could potentially dominate and win multiple Grand Slams. In terms of the women's game, over the last 2 or 3 years I've really started to enjoy and watch more and more women's tennis. I think it's in a fantastic place. It's going to be an unbelievable era when you look at the amount of teenagers and young players coming through. Is a perfect sort of blend between youth and experience. You've still got the old guard of Serena Williams and Pliskova and Simona Halep at the top. Then you've got the youth who are coming through and you've got to say taking over really. I think Bianca Andreescu won the US Open last year. Sofia Kenin obviously won this year's Australian Open. And Naomi Osaka came on the scene at the back end of 2017 and early 18 to win back-to-back slams. And it really is just a fantastic time for the sport. There's many different styles now in the women's game, which is making for many different fantastic matchups stylistically. And we've had some classic matches over the past few years, and it's just getting better and better. I feel it is a fantastic era, and when you look at the list of players in the top even 50 of the women's tour, there's many players that could win Grand Slams and win multiple Grand Slams even. So I'm going to start off by looking at the current world number one, Ashley Barty. I was kind of surprised about Ashley Barty's age, knowing that she's only 23. Obviously she took a break from the sport to play in the WBBL, which is the Women's Australian Cricket League. She played for Brisbane Heat, and then she come back and won the 2019 French Open, which is some feat really, and obviously reached world number one now. I think she has been the best player over the last 18 months. She's been very consistent, and she is a player that I feel deals with the pressure very well. And she went into this year's Australian Open as favourite. Obviously Bianca Andreescu was heavily tipped to back up her US Open performance, but withdrew because of that knee injury. And I think Ashley Barty done very well. Obviously she went in that tournament, as I say, as the world number one. She'd won the French Open last year and she was playing on home soil, which a lot of players find very difficult. Although you do get the crowd support, does bring a lot of pressure. But Barty, I think, used that crowd and experience to effect, positive effect. And she even played a very good semi-final. Obviously she reached the semi-final stage before getting beat off the eventual champion, Sofia Kenin. But she didn't do a lot wrong really, Barty. I just feel Kenin played an outstanding tournament and won the big points, which is, it happens in tennis, there has to be a winner. I think they both played a very, very solid match in that one. But Kenin came out on top. I'm sure Barty will be back looking to defend the French Open if we are to get that later in the year. But for Barty, I think she's got a fantastic career ahead. She's a danger on all surfaces, and she's a top player on and off court. Next player I'm going to look at is the world number 4 now, Sofia Kenin, and she's a great example really of grasping the opportunity and grasping the opportunity really in an open era. Obviously there was nobody really dictating the sport, and she sort of came along, won a couple of WTA titles in 2019, but I don't think anybody expected her to win the Australian Open. But she just played a fantastic tournament. She beat the best throughout, obviously beating Ashley Barty in the semis and then Gabina Muguruza in the final. She was underdog in both of their matches, but I just feel the mindset and mental strength and the belief that she could win all-round game, and her ability to work out opponents was what got her through in the end, and she was mighty impressive in both their matches and a thoroughly deserving Australian Open champion. Next up is the world number 6, Bianca Andreescu, and I think out of all of the young guns, you've got to say she's probably the most interesting in the future when you consider she's only 19. Obviously one of the Canadian prodigies that are coming through, and you look at Shapovalov and Auger-Aliassime and now Bianca Andreescu, they're producing more and more talent all the time. And obviously Andreescu, similar to Kenin really, hadn't had a massive run at a Grand Slam. She'd won a couple of WTA titles, I believe, in 2018 or 19, The back in 2019, she just played an outstanding US Open. Just blew everybody off the court. She's got such good ground strokes on forehand and backhand, a very good serve. In the way she won that US Open, you have to say that she was playing the best tennis in the world at that time. She never looked like losing at that US Open. She just timed the ball so well, struck it so perfectly really into the corners, and just blew everybody off the court that she faced. And I think she was a player that at that time had the potential to go on and win multiple Grand Slams. Obviously she still does, but she suffered that knee injury, which was disappointing. I think she would have made a very good run at the Australian Open. It would have been a great watch. But I do believe she's just about recovered now from the knee injury, so when we come back, which will hopefully be sooner rather than later, I think Andreescu will be ready to have a go again and potentially win more Grand Slams. I think she's a player with a huge future in the women's game. Naomi Osaka, still ranked well number 10. Obviously she came along at the back end of 2017 and won that famous final against Serena, and then went on to win the 2018 Australian Open to win back-to-back slams. And at that time she sort of became the figure for women's tennis. You know, she got to world number 1 and she was the star of the show really. Everybody expected her to just keep dominating, keep winning tennis matches, keep winning tournaments, keep winning Grand Slams, and unfortunately in this sort of era it's not that easy, and some players don't deal with the pressure of being a Grand Slam champion very well. Jelena Ostapenko, I feel, is a perfect example of that. And for Osaka, as people say, it's one thing getting to the top, but it's even harder to stay at the top, and I think she's found it immensely difficult to cope with that pressure and cope with the pressure of being well number 1 and being the favourite. I think an example of that was at last year's 2019 US Open against Gauff. Obviously Gauff was talk of the town after a run at the US Open and Wimbledon beforehand. Obviously she beat Venus Williams in both tournaments. Gauff went into that match with the crowd behind her, obviously being in America. And Osaka went into that tournament as defending champion, and a lot of people expected her to, you know, just sort of blow Gauff off the court really. She was Gauff, 15-year-old at that time, and Osaka just didn't really turn up. She just sort of capitulated out on at the US Open, and it was very disappointing to see. But as I say, some players just don't deal with pressure very well and don't deal with being the world number 1 and being the favourite. And I think Naomi Osaka is one of them players. I think she will come back, and I still can see her win Grand Slams in the future. She's a fantastic player and she's capable of beating anybody in the world on a day. And perhaps she'll learn from her experiences and come back even more hungry to prove any doubt is wrong. Arina Sabalenka, 21-year-old Belarusian, again a very, very solid player. Hasn't made a fantastic run yet at the Grand Slam, only reached 3rd and 4th rounds, but and perhaps a player that needs to cut out some errors of a game when playing the top players and perhaps be a little bit more consistent. But on the day, as she's shown, she's won a couple of WTA titles now, that she can out-hit anybody on the women's tour. Marketa Vondrousova, very sort of unorthodox player, left-handed, reached the French Open final last year against Ashley Barty, still only 21-year-old Czech Republic. A very exciting player and someone that's very different stylistically to the other players coming through. You know, Osaka and Andreescu are very strong from the back of the court. Vondrousova is more, as I say, unorthodox, being the left-handed. But still a very exciting player that could come through and win Grand Slams in the future. Donna Vekic, I thought she was very good at the Australian Open. I watch all her matches and she's a winner machine. The power she's got from the back of the court is crazy really. And she's a player that is going to continue to improve all the time. Still only 23-year-old from Croatia. Amanda Anisimova leads the way on the American charge. If you take out Sophia Kenin, there's obviously a host of young American teenagers coming through. When you look at Kenin, Anisimova, Coco Gauff, Katie McNally, America's got a real array of young talents coming through. And away from them, you've still got Ostapenko, obviously ranked outside the top 40 now, but the way she played at that French Open, what seems all them years ago now, was it 2017 or 16? she was outstanding at that time, just only 22. Hopefully she can come back in the next few years and have a very good career. And then obviously Gauff, we've got ranked 52, just 16 years old, but already made major moves at the Wimbledon and US Open last year. So hopefully she continues in that sort of form, and what a career she's got ahead of her potentially. Just 16-year-old, she's got unsurmountable amounts of improvement, and it just, you can't really put a number on the amount of titles she could win, but it's obviously very early days in her career, and she's got a lot of tennis ahead of her. So just in summary, just looking at the two players that I feel could potentially win multiple Grand Slams and more Grand Slams than other players. Obviously we're going to have a lot of Grand Slam winners over the years when you look at the amount of players you've got coming through, and then you've still got, like I say, the Halep, Serena's at the top, Pliskova. They are wide open, but for me the number one youngster that could win many Grand Slams is Sofia Kenin. And it just, I was so impressed by her mindset and her mental strength at the Australian Open. As I say, she was up against Ashley Barty in that semi-final, and a lot of players I think would have went out in court and been sort of intimidated. Barty was the massive favourite going to the match, and obviously had the backing of the Melbourne crowd. And just the way Kenin works her opponents out and the way she produces just the best tennis at the biggest stages. She's got a very solid all-round game, but I think just the mental strength, just the way she believes in herself to win. She serves incredibly well under pressure. She makes very minimal amount of errors, unforced errors. She doesn't give your opponents anything. I think she's not just a player has ability in the game, but also mental strength. And I think that could carry her a long way in her tennis career. And also Bianca Andreescu, as I say, she was so impressive at the US Open in 2019, blew away everybody that year. And if it wasn't for the knee injury, I think she would have made a major run at this year's Australian Open. So it's very exciting to see her come back. But yeah, just what a time for women's tennis. I think it's as good as it's been, as long as I've been watching it anyway. And I think we've got a fantastic era coming up. But yeah, that's all for this video. I've been doing lots of interviews and articles on the blog, so I'll leave a link in the description below. Thanks for watching again, and I'll see you on the next video.